Hey guys, this is going to be one of those long videos. It's also going to be a bit more of a serious one. I watched a video last night from Boogie2988 talking about his childhood in the fullest detail he could manage. And he really laid it all out. He laid it bare. He really just made it plain what he went through. I finally realized I need to do the same. So tonight I want to share my story. Nothing held back. No frills. No secrets kept. I want to tell the true story of how I grew up. How I became the man I am, and why it all makes a difference. So I guess I'll start with the basics. I was born in OSU Hospital, 1991, August 27th. I was born to a lower middle class family, you would say. More like lower class family. We didn't have much growing up. I didn't really have many fancy toys. I had usually whatever we could get from the Goodwill or whatever. I was happy with that. I was never very privileged in the kind of clothing or whatever I guess I kind of was. I always got the starter brand from Walmart, which, yeah, it's Walmart clothing, but it was nice Walmart clothing. But anyway, growing up, my family wasn't the greatest. Now, my mom, she was a godsend, but my father was a nightmare. He comes from an abusive family himself. Mom comes from an abusive household as well. Mama, however, learned how to turn that around and learn from her bad experiences instead of letting her bad experiences cause her to give her children bad experiences. Dad, however, picked up his father's drinking habit and his mother's, picked up his mother's smoking habit, and picked up his father's habit of abusing his family. He started with Mom. He would hit her quite often, or they would get into shouting matches or whatever, and one night it really got bad. I was about 6 or 7 years old, and I just remember running and hiding in the bathroom and basically sobbing my eyes out while still watching through a crack as my dad threw my mom on the coffee table and proceeded to try and strangle her. And the only reason she survived was she kicked him in the balls, and then he had the audacity to try and file charges against her for hitting him in the balls. It's like, you were trying to kill her. What else was she supposed to do? But it was incidents like that really are ingrained in my memory. I also remember being very, very angry as a child. I remember always having an anger problem. I would have frequent outbursts in school. I would throw desks. I would throw chairs. I would hit other kids. I would claw at myself and other kids. I would scream at the teachers at the top of my lungs. I was a very, very angry kid. About 10 years old, I got transferred to the behavioral issues kids school, which was a private school. It was still funded by the government, but it wasn't part of the regular school circuit. I would stay there until I graduated, of course, just because I had major issues. It was around this time that I started really getting violent and really getting angry and really getting scared because I didn't know who I was. I didn't know who I was supposed to be. I had a mother who tried her best to model positive behaviors. I had a dad who was about as bad a role model as you could get. And of course, my natural inclination was to say, well, I want to be like Daddy because all boys want to be like their dads. And so I tried to model what kind of behavior he had. My dad was always heavily into pornography. This was back in the day and age where you had VHS tapes and stuff. He wouldn't hide them very well. I would get into them. And being a 10-year-old, 11-year-old child watching porn when I'm not supposed to was a very, very bad thing. It really changed me mentally. I started being more curious about my own body than I should be at that age. And then a few months after that happened, after I started getting into that, one of my best friends at the time took me out into the woods and proceeded to rape me. And I don't remember much of the actual events. I blocked them out, thank God. But I remember enough to know that that's what happened because I remember having a huge amount of pain in my rear end. I remember limping home. I remember going to the bathroom and filling the toilet with blood. I remember trying my best to hide the evidence so that no one would know of my shame, because that's what I thought. I thought it was shameful. Dad would always talk about homosexuals as if they were the devil. Funnily enough, his own brother was a homosexual, and, although he only talked about them as if they were the devil when he was drunk. I don't know that he actually consciously thought that way or not. He also, around that time, after the abuse, after the rape, I started taking my own confusion and anger and sadness out on kids around me. I abused 3 different kids that I knew in the same way I was. I've never completely come to grips with that. I've been through therapy. I've been through counseling. I've been through a juvenile offender program that I had to go through when I got caught. And it just, I've never forgiven myself for it. I've never forgiven myself for messing up the lives of kids I don't even know how they're doing today. I really don't. But I ended up, at the age of 16, I ended up going away to an inpatient rehabilitation center for a while because things just got so bad. And because, well, emotionally bad for me and psychologically bad for me, but also because my therapist was an asshole that thought I was a danger to kids just because I wasn't progressing fast enough compared to the other kids. Because it was group therapy at the time, and, things go about as well as you'd hope in a group therapy session. So I'm really messed up by all this. I really am. I've learned a lot from it, though. I've learned that you can hurt people without ever touching them. When I got in trouble for what I did, I saw the hurt that reverberated throughout my whole family. I saw the hurt that must have been felt by my mother, by my sisters, by my nieces and nephews, by everybody. It was awful. I saw the hurt that I caused the people I cared about. I saw the hurt I caused those kids. I never want to go back to that way of living where I hurt people. I don't want to do that. I'm better. I've learned from my mistakes. I am no longer that person. I am not on a registry. I'm not dangerous to the public. I'm just about as sane as you are, although that's a subjective viewpoint. I have PTSD from my childhood. I have depression because of the PTSD. I have anxiety because of the PTSD. I have issues with being able to normally converse with people because of my Asperger's syndrome disorder. I'm a mess. But you know what? I could be a lot worse. And I've learned a lot about how to be a proper person. And I think that's important. I think it's important for you to know that, for you to understand that, for you to realize that I'm not the person I should have been originally. I'm not the person I'm going to be down the line where I hopefully improve. I wouldn't change how I turned out to be. I would change some of the situations if I could. But overall, I think I finally like who I am. After 26, almost 27 goddamn years on this earth, I think I finally like who I am. I think I finally like who I see in the mirror. And I think that's a start. Thanks for watching. And I hope you guys don't judge me too harshly. If you have to, you have to, but I hope you don't. I love you very much. I will speak with you again soon. Unless you want me not to.